Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Outside of Life, where it's all about how you can turn your creative passion into a profession. My name is Eva, and my guest today is a freelance illustrator living just outside of Stockholm, Sweden. He has worked with everything from computer games to children's books, and he is most known for his detailed ink illustrations, posting new creations on Instagram almost every day. He has already released 4 personal books, one of them, The Second in Line, won the Most Beautiful Swedish Book and several other awards. He dreams of traveling the world and publishing illustrated books about his travel experiences. So please welcome Mattias Adolfsson, and let's get to the interview. So welcome everyone to the next episode of Outside of Life, and I'm super happy to have my guest here, Mattias. Hi!
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, perfect. My pleasure that you are here, and I'm super happy that you took time from your busy schedule. And let's dive in right away, maybe to your background, and you can share some of the artistic stories or some of your creative outlets when you were a child.
Yeah, I have a very, you would say, not a straight path to my artistic career. When I grew up, it was like being an artist was not an option because was not really an industry in Sweden for art. You could be a children's illustrator, but it was really difficult to make a living of it. Mm-hmm. And my mother actually, she studied to become an illustrator, and but she never worked as it. She had another career. She was home with us kids, mm-hmm. And then she chose to be a secretary and work with economics. So it was nothing I really thought about. So while studying in school, I was really good at math. Mm-hmm. And I really started very early to program computers. I made some computer games and stuff like that when I still was a teenager. And then when it came to choose university, I chose to study to be an engineer. Mm-hmm. But I studied 1 year, and I felt that was not really for me. So I took some years, just started to work. I worked for the Swedish telephone company, and then I did my military service, and then I started studying to become an architect instead. Mm-hmm. It was the same thing after 2 years. It wasn't really for me, so I switched to graphic design, and then I finished. I have a fine Masters of Fine Art in graphic design, but it's the same thing. I wasn't really that into graphic design, and we didn't really have any illustration. So on the side, I've become more and more interested in 3D modeling and 3D visualization. So the last year when I went to studying graphic design, I worked on the project in 3D. Mm-hmm. I had not really an idea what the end result would be, but it was like some kind of visual story. I didn't know if it was supposed to be a book or if it was supposed to be a film. It was a story about some Polish cosmonauts going mm-hmm. to Mars. It was a pretty large story, and it was made into my thesis work, and a game company contacted me, and then I got hired, and we produced the game, and then I stayed on and made 3 more games, I think, and then I switched to be a freelance 3D artist, making music videos and things for the industry. And then we have a little slump in our economy after 9/11. So I applied for a game industry job again. And there was the largest game company in Sweden called DICE, and now it's been bought up by Electronic Arts. So I've worked, let's say, 4 or 5, I have a hard time remembering, 4 or 5 years in the game industry more. Mm-hmm. But then I just came to some kind of passes when I just couldn't continue working with computer games anymore. It might have been my age or so. So it's creative, and it's really nice working in those teams with a lot of bright people. When I started making computer games, we were maybe, say, 4 or 5 people making one game. In the end, 300-400 people. And in the end, I kind of returned to my childhood love of programming. So in the end, I more or less only programmed, making tools for the other artists and stuff like that. But on the same time, maybe the last year, while working in games, I got into blogging, something new then, about 2006. And I started getting kind of commission work. And then in 2007, I quit on the day of my game job and just, I can't do it anymore. I have to do something else. And then I started illustrating, and that's what I've been doing since it's 10 years this year.
Oh, wow. And so what fascinated you the most on illustration and creating stories on your own world?
I think it probably was with me all the time. Because when I studied to be an architect, I spent most of my time there just scribbling in sketchbooks. So but most of the time while at the university, I was kind of the funny guy. So I spent most time just having a fun time and maybe drinking a little too much, stuff like that. But I found out that being a funny guy, it's not that rewarding. So I kind of put that maybe quite strange wit into my drawings instead. So it's my way of nowadays telling jokes. It's with my images, and it's been a strange path to get where I am now. Not sure if I answered your question, but
yeah, definitely, because you have like really long path with like changing and passion, like I like this, and because a lot of young artists, they have actually this problem as well, like but I like too many things, so how do I know that I chose the right path? But I think it's like never too late to change, because you try, at least you know what you don't like.
Yeah, it's never too late to switch paths. That's something I always try to tell people. So it's it can be difficult to make the decision to change, but on occasion.
So what helped you the most when you were starting in a new career path? You know, because you were already like established in 3D world or in a gaming world, and like starting from kind of scratch with illustration. What was the best thing you learned about like starting something new?
I think I've had a lot of things as a plus working with this computer game. I was used to work with really large projects, and that it felt like I was more or less starting from zero. So I would say, and I always say that I think I was very lucky. It was 2006, and then blogging was the thing, and I think I was very lucky because I got featured on rather large sites directly. So from the get-go, I reached a level that was, I had no kind of expectation nor plan. I just wanted to make a living. But then I got fairly good commission work directly. And then, so I think that you have to be a bit lucky. And also, I think I put very much time into my art. When I decided to start illustrating, this is something I'm going to do every day. So I just draw and draw and draw and draw and draw, and I put in so many hours, and that's a very important thing, I think, for artists.
So how does your normal day look like? Do you have an office at home, or do you travel to your office?
No, I have an office. I share it with my wife. She's an artist, a paper artist. But I would say wake up, and then we have a little dog. We take her for a stroll. And then I just sit down and try. The starting part is always the hard thing. You know, you sit in front of your computer. So, but I try to, and I've always have a harder time starting with the commission work. With my own stuff, it's like I wouldn't say it's like a drug, but it's so fills me with such joy. Mm-hmm. It's like the whole body is just flowing with. Actually, it feels so nice to be doing. Doing it.
Like more excitement and motivation.
Yeah. And when I do commission work, I have to do a lot of, for me, tedious stuff like making pencil sketches, and then I work mostly with clients abroad, and then I have to wait until I get is it okay, and we have to make a new sketch. So it's more takes a little bit of the enjoyment out of it, but that's the way I earn money. So it's
when you mentioned already like the client work and project, so what do you live from? What are your main income streams? Is it the commission or also different things?
Yeah, I would say that commission work it's the bulk of my earnings, but then I have we publish books and I sell. I have a cooperation with a French firm, and they make baby blankets, and we're going to make baby apparel. Nice. So I have a lot of different streams of incomes, and I also sell originals online. So I would say it's about 50-50 commission work and my books and originals. I hope in the future to trap down the commission part, because I really want to only do my own stuff.
Yeah, and when you are working on your own creations, it's mostly watercolor and ink pens, right?
Yes, it's only, I worked so many years with the computer media, so I can't go near a computer.
Like, I don't want to see the screen.
Yeah. And I think also, I understand that it's a great tool, working with webcams and stuff like that, but it's also, it puts the art more in the now, because there's such a evolution of the tools. So you can always tell this is made now.
Like and, which year or what.
And that's okay, because most of the art produced is for just now. In 10 years it might not be that interesting, but I think there is a timelessness to traditional art that you can't get it with digital. That's just my opinion.
I also really like the textures and everything when you actually work with physical, and you have the physical thing what you create.
Yeah, it's something. That's just the fact that you can touch the art is something. Try to go to a museum and do that, but it's something really wonderful, I think.
And do you have like favorite tools, like favorite ink pen or watercolors?
Yeah, I use the fountain pens. I used to work with dip pens, but then I found an ink who can work in a fountain pen, and that's it's a real rabbit hole when you can really fall into a rabbit hole when you use fountain pens. Just buy more and more and more, but I prefer just to have the one, because otherwise I have to choose. This is a pen from Pilot Falcon, and it's the one question I get all the time: what pen do you use? And I think the actual pen is not that important, but it's for me it's nice to always know that the tool is perfect for me. So it's
But I think it's really good to experiment with the tools before you actually find your favorite one. So that's why we always discuss like the tools, what artists use. It's not like, oh, you have to use this one, but just to try and see.
Yeah, and I think it's probably, I'm not a young person anymore. So for me to change the tools, kind of done that, but I think it's nice if you're a young artist. I think you should try play around as much as possible, and also not to get stuck with the digital only. Try to have the sketchbook on the side, because it's so important to have to learn that as well. I think a lot of young artists, they choose just digital now, and I think it's a pity.
Yeah, because I also mentioned it in other interviews, but I also started just with digital, because when you do like the traditional first, it can be intimidating, and then digital is much easier. So now I'm trying to go back to traditional and learn more about all the traditional tools. So definitely important.
And I don't think it's a small thing, but it's like a party trick. Just to see someone drawing on a paper, it's like magic for other people. So it's kind of magic on the computer, but on the computer you can do such strange things. So it's
it's different.
Yeah, it's different.
And did you mention also the ink you use for us to try? Maybe can you mention the brand or color you use?
Yeah, it's I do those live feeds, and I get the same question 4 or 5 times each feed. So nowadays I just have the bottle ready like this. Yeah, I should get paid for it.
Perfect.
Diatramentis, it's a German ink, document ink. I tried other inks as well, because they used to say that permanent ink destroyed fountain pens. But this was...
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the watercolors? Do you also have a favorite one you use?
Yeah, it's more... I haven't really kind of made comparisons, but I've used Winsor & Newton since I was a child. Not a child, but...
From when you started?
Yeah, from when I started. But I would say, and I had this big artist commission for a hospital, and then I made very large watercolor drawings, and I had to be sure that they stayed true to their color in maybe 75 years. And then I bought Schmincke watercolors, because they are supposed to be the best. But I can't say I feel any difference to it.
Yeah, I haven't tried.
No, it's like when I started to be an illustrator, one thing that really was for me, I was hesitant to start, because I more or less always worked black and white, because I'm partially colorblind. So it's always been a big thing putting color to stuff, because I can't really see the full spectrum. But when I started, I just thought, well, what the hell? And that's probably why I really love the watercolors, because it's more analog, and it's more a random process. If I color it in digital, I really have to more. It's true color, so for me, it's much better.
Ah, really interesting. Yeah, because also when you are working with color and light, it's also important to have a values, right? So basically, that's how you start, I guess, as well, like to set the color palette you want to use.
Yeah, but I think you can see the color palette I use it's not really bold. It's you can almost feel my hesitation, I think.
No, for me, I was like, oh, these pastel colors, I really like these like muted tones. I'm like, that's my favorite part actually about your artworks.
Okay. Well, it's just random. Because I'm chicken.
And do you also create your own mixtures of the colors? Like, this is my color palette I like to use the most?
No, everything is just like a steady. It's like my watercolor box becomes a slum. So maybe once a month I just wash it out, and then I make a new slum. So it's extremely random.
Okay, so like how you feel
like
when...
Yeah. Now it's not even how I feel like, it's what's in front of me.
Good. Yeah. And I would like to know as well, did you ever receive like the best advice ever, or like something you wish you knew over the whole time of your art career?
I think No. When I went to studying graphic design, there were two, maybe you could say, odd birds in our class who wasn't really interested in graphic design. It was me and a woman called Camilla Engman, and she started with the blogging thing. Mm-hmm. We ended up working on the same game company, but maybe, let's say, 10 years afterwards, I met her and we spoke, and she had started blogging and she had become a huge blogging star, getting commission from the New York Times and stuff like that. So, and she got me into posting things on the web. So her advice was vital for me. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, most advice I have received is probably so much, people are giving advice so much from their own universe. Mm-hmm. So if I speak to someone who works with commercials, they say you must get into this. So I think it's very important to, if you try to give advice, really try to see it from the other person, because I can't say that I've got any good advice ever, apart from Camilla's.
So to be visible on social networks and share your art.
Yeah, that
online.
was her advice for me. Yeah.
And what about like worst advice, or do you see like people are getting like bad advice when they are starting out, as you said, like just from their own universe?
Yeah, I think yeah. But I got so many advice like that, so I don't think I really could. I can't remember them because it's. But it's when you go back and listen to stories from other famous artists, there's so many of them who have been given advice that you must stop with your artist endeavors because you're lousy, and then they turn out to be great. So you never know, and you should be really careful when giving advice and try to give them as openly as possible. Try to be positive, but maybe not. You should do this.
And do you have some other motivation to keep going and just not to give up, and or something you do daily, like a meditation or
nature? The drawing part is the meditation for me, and it's I wouldn't say that drawing gives me joy all the time, but when it does, it's the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the only thing I need to be motivated to really get that. It's like the sense of flow. Scientists speak about that, and that's exactly what it is. So when that stops, maybe I would quit.
When it will just like dry out or something.
Yeah.
So, and how do you do your networking now? Is it only social media, or do you go to, I don't know, sketch clubs or meet other like people around?
The most networking is online, mm-hmm. But now I get invited to travel. So I've been traveling quite a lot, and that's the really wonderful thing with this career, to be able to travel, and then I kind of network. So it's like being a low-key rock star. You come somewhere and it's like screaming girls everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's screaming guys as well, so it's not gender specific. But that's also something I really enjoy with this. It's like a tribal thing. You go somewhere and it's like you have more in common with the people you meet there than the people in your country. I wasn't aware that it could be like that. It's really nice. But I get all my like commission work and stuff. It's online. But traveling, it's the best thing for getting invited yet again. So it's like a spinning wheel.
And so, can you mention some of the events you go to?
Yeah, I've been invited to LCAF Festival in London. It's really nice. And then when I was in LCAF last year, I was contacted by a Singaporean artist called Mikael Ng. I can't pronounce it. So I got to go to Singapore. They had a festival as well, and they had a writers festival there. Otherwise, I usually go to Angoulême in France. But I've been to Russia, I've been to Georgia, last year I was in Iran, and I was in a really nice workshop in Vienna last year, called Workshops at the Brilliant Fund.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice. So I can't remember. It's like I haven't traveled to the big country yet, but I would like to, and maybe South America, and more to Asia. I've been to Taiwan as well, but I would like to go to. One plan I have is to try to kind of produce a book while traveling. So I'd like to travel to through Asia and maybe to America, South America, and producing a book while I travel. But I don't know if it's possible.
So it would be like a travel sketchbook with some stories, or more like a urban sketching, or you don't know yet? I
don't know yet. It's just it's vague thoughts, but I would like to do it.
And if someone would like to start doing what you do now, what would you advise them to start with? Do you maybe have some favorite books to learn from, or online classes, or just like start with this?
I would say, for me, it was like when I got kids, it's learned me how to really value time, because, I can't waste any more time. I have 2-3 hours here, and then it's just with the kids. So try to really value time and try not to waste. And I think nowadays it's so easy to just waste so much time, especially with the mobile phones and stuff like that. So yeah, but I think a lot of people try to. Shouldn't be like I have to sit now 4 or 5 hours drawing or painting or anything. It should be, I'm doing this because I really enjoy it. So try to enjoy it and try to really value your time, because you can waste everything.
And do you plan like a week ahead or a month ahead, or do you have like a planner where you write down your tasks and like each day what you have to do?
No. So it's like on some occasion it's like just madness. But I think just try not to waste too much time, and try to, because I think a lot of kids growing up now with mobile phones, and I think they will come to an age when they're 20, 25. What did I do with my childhood? It's like when I was a child, we were out playing on the streets or in the forest all day long, and I think it's a pity. And if you think about what did I do, if you think back just one day, what did I do on my phone yesterday? I waste a lot of time now as well, so I'm part of it, but try to think why.
Yeah, like,
and I think that's also a great thing. If you work on the computer, you are kind of stuck in that world. So
try to maybe combine also traditional and digital. And just do different things. And can you maybe recommend us some books as well, like for starting artists, if they want to learn something?
I have never used. I can't say that I've really read any books. There are probably great books teaching out the craft, but I'm more learned myself. I really love Tove Jansson's comics. Were made in the 50s, and they are so wonderful. So I would recommend them for anyone. I'm not sure how well translated they are. I think there is an American edition, but it's great. But I don't really know any. This is how you do it. books.
Okay. So you are more doing the observation and just
Yeah,
drawing from life.
I think in her comics she's so good with capturing the emotions of the characters. So she's so playful with the media. It's probably because she never know how to do it. She plays with the panels. Sometimes she draws stuff in them. So it's very organic, and I think it's a good lesson how you can end up when you don't really know how to do something.
So how do you spell the author's name? I didn't get that.
Tove,
Tuve.
T-O
V
E
E. Okay.
J-A. It's like YMCA.
Oh, okay.
And I can spell it out, and we
can put it in the show notes afterwards.
Yeah.
Perfect.
She did the Moomins, so if you but the Moomins got it got transformed into a Japanese thing. You have to go back to the source because it's completely different. Yeah. It's more like it's like kind of an anarchy, and they travel in time, and so much happening. It's really nice.
Oh, really interesting. And and what I wanted to also ask you, when you are drawing your artworks and you want to see how it will look as a copy, do you scan it and print it out at home before you send it to publisher or a client, or do you keep it or do you take pictures with the camera?
I just scan it, and the only thing that happens is that I lose a bit of the contrast. So I just and now I have a macro that just push up the blackness. Yeah. But then I just send it because I want it to be as true to the original as possible, and I don't really have the know-how to do the enhancements to the image. So it's more or less exactly like.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think I would say that, and that's my work is always better in real life. It's not really suited for the computer.
The copies.
Yeah.
And some of my last questions I want to ask you is about the future, and I would like to know, what would you like to be like in 5 to 10 years, like a dream scenario, and you are not afraid of anything, no failing, nothing. So this is like how it should be.
Well, I would prefer if I just could I could probably take up a couple of commission works each year, but I would prefer to focus more or less only on my own stuff, continue producing books, and traveling. I'm pretty close to a perfect. I didn't froze.
No.
I'm pretty content as it is now. I just want to earn a little bit more money so I could be more relaxed, and also travel a little bit more. Last year I traveled very, very much, but so more or less like now, but less commission work.
Yeah, perfect. And my last question would be about far future, and I would like to know, what would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years? The first thing that come to mind is a line from a Frank Zappa song, like the little tacky pamphlet in your daddy's bottom drawer. So it's not important at all for me, but just to be on a dusty bookshelf somewhere, and someone just pulls it out and looks, oh, this looks pretty funny. That's enough for me. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't want any monuments.
No,
Yeah.
But no, it's really nice, and hopefully you will create more books, and so people can just collect and have these big collections of your travel creations. That would be super cool. Yeah. And before we say goodbye, maybe you can share a key takeaway or last piece of advice, and then we will finish.
Yeah, don't listen to old artists.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because everything is changing all the time, and we have to try different things.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So thank you so much for being here. It was really nice.
Yeah.
And thanks everyone for joining, and see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos, because I post new interview every single workday. You can also find the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a little freebie waiting for you, so go check it out. If you want to listen to the interviews on the go, make sure to check out the podcast episodes at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and don't forget to inspire each other. I will see you guys in the next episode.